When's the last time you looked on top of your cabinets and how thick is the dust up there? I am not gonna lie, I do not love dusting in general. And when it comes to those spaces that nobody can see, it's easy to just think, why even bother? But every once in a while, when I turn on a fan or I open the blinds and I kick up all that dust and start choking on it, and then I think about all of the stuff that I'm actually breathing in, I think, okay, it's probably time to take care of this. But besides better air quality, there's also another great reason to clean some of these neglected areas. It is incredibly satisfying, as you can see here. So, this is some of what's coming up, and I hope you enjoy all of the satisfaction of watching me clean some of my neglected areas, and maybe it will inspire you to then go clean some of your neglected areas. Good day, everyone. I am doing some major dusting today, which is why I have this mask. And we're going to start here in the kitchen by getting on top of my cabinets. And let me just show you what I've done to prepare to do this, because I'm going to not only get the tops of the cabinets, but also just some other neglected areas while I've got my vacuums out. And I say vacuums because I'll show you what I've got here. So let me turn the camera around. So, yeah, I've got this vacuum, that vacuum, and then my regular Dyson. And if you're wondering what these cute little capes are on them, this is my totally weird idea, but I think it might really help. That, you know how it's got this little exhaust or whatever you call it, where it blows out, and sometimes when you're getting really dusty areas, it will blow out all of the not all of the dust, but you know, the filter only picks up so much and then it kicks out the rest. So this is a filter from our air conditioning unit, and you can see I've just zip tied it on to both of my vacuums to try to catch any of the excess dust that sometimes gets spit out. So I don't know if it'll actually work, but I'll let you know at the end if it seemed to have done anything. And then to also prepare, I have covered some things like my kitchen utensils that, you know, I don't want to take everything out of every single room, so I just put a plastic bag over it, stuff like that, just so dust doesn't settle inside there. I also have my little giant ladder and then my regular ladder here, because I don't think my little giant is going to be quite high enough to get really to the backs of the cabinets. By the way, that is not beer bottles. This is my husband's root beer collection. So they've gotten very dusty. I will give you a better shot of those once I get up there, but yeah, all of those are different root beers he's collected. But they need a good dusting, and so do all the cabinets in my entire house. So I'm going to start in the kitchen here, and then we'll move on to other rooms. So let's get started. Here's a look at all of the dust up here. I think it's been probably 5+ years since I have dusted up here. So it's in great need. But first I'm going to take all of these root beer bottles down so we can get them dusted and not have to work around them. As I pull these bottles down, you can see that they aren't secured to anything. They've just been sitting on top of scrap pieces of wood. So if there were ever an earthquake, beyond the danger of being pelted with root beer bottles, we would have an extra sticky mess on our hands to clean up. So getting these bottles secured is something I've been intending to do for like the last 3 years. So I guess besides taking care of neglected areas in my home, you could say this video is also about taking care of projects on my to-do list that have been neglected. Okay, before I get to those ones, I'm going to do this while I've got the ladders over here. Did that make sense to anyone? What I meant was that before I move the ladders over to take down the other root beer bottles, I'm going to clean the cabinets while I've got the ladders on this side. But as you can see, this is not coming up very well. Dust in the kitchen is very different than other dust in the house. Okay, I think rather than trying to vacuum this because it's kind of a greasy dust, I'm just gonna wipe it, and I'm gonna have to be rinsing a lot of rags because, yeah, just vacuuming it up was not working very well. And yeah, so let's see how just wiping it down works. This stuff is just paint, so that's not coming off. Also, I have never used these lights up here. We have them down below, but I'm not even sure if they work. I'd have to turn on the switch over there. Be kind of cool if they did. If it sounds like we're getting ready for liftoff, that's just my washing machine in the background on a spin cycle. I decided I needed a little more scrubbing power, so I broke out this Scrub Mommy sponge. By the way, the spray that I'm using is Crud Cutter, but I will switch over to Dawn Power Wash here in just a minute because I find that that works better. There are parts of this that I didn't have anywhere to set my camera, so I had to hold it while I'm scrubbing, which makes for kind of a shaky video. I know that's kind of annoying, sorry about that. Look at that. The closer we get to the stove, the greasier these get. It's like clay, holy cow. I need to get some dish soap up here or Dawn Power Wash. I don't think Crud Cutter is going to quite cut it here. Just so you know, when I say Dawn Power Wash, I'm not always using the real stuff. Some of the bottles I have been refilled with the DIY version, which if you don't know that recipe, I'm gonna put it on the screen here for you because this is super simple and way cheaper than actual Dawn Power Wash. So for the 16-ounce bottle of Dawn Power Wash, if you wanted to refill that, just put in 1.5 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 1/4 cup of Blue Dawn dish soap or Dawn Platinum, and then you just fill the rest of the bottle with water. Distilled if you have it, but otherwise just tap water is fine. Then just give that a little shake and there you go, DIY Dawn Power Wash. All right, good enough. You're also really not supposed to use Dawn Power Wash on painted surfaces as it can dull the finish. But whatever this material is in my kitchen, I think it's like a plaster, And I'm sure there's paint over it as well, but whatever it is not like your typical paint, and I feel totally comfortable using it on this surface. So you have been warned, but that is completely up to you. Do you love that I'm just walking all over my countertops, by the way? Yeah, I did thoroughly wipe them down and sanitize them after I was done. Okay. Good enough. I could be here all day if I was trying to get every little crumb. All right, let's move to the other side and get those root beer bottles down. I didn't film cleaning the root beer bottles, but let me tell you, they were a pain in the butt because a lot of them have that paper label, so you couldn't just like spray them down with Dawn Power Wash and let it sit and melt that grease off. No, you had to carefully wipe the tops of each one of those without really getting the label wet. So it took forever. I just put on a show and sat there and wiped root beer bottles for like an hour and a half. You'll notice I took my mask off because I was sweating like a pig, and wearing a mask makes that so much worse. But I did at least try to wear it for as long as possible. See how beautifully that just wiped off? That's because I actually let the Dawn Power Wash sit on this one while I was scrubbing the other one. I'm not the most patient person, so this is just a reminder to myself that sometimes being patient does pay off. There's where I cleaned the last time I cleaned this. You can see I didn't get back there very far. So we're gonna get the rest of this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last time I cleaned this, I was just on a little step stool, so I really couldn't reach back there very far. Does anybody else have these super textured walls with these little like swirly patterns and things? This home was built in 2005, and this was kind of a big thing to do during that period of time. And I can't decide if I love it or hate it because it looks kind of cool, but it's also a magnet for dirt and dust to settle into those little cracks and crevices. I planned on this whole endeavor of cleaning all of these high up places only taking a day because I didn't want to have ladders and vacuums and all of that just cluttering up my house for days on end. And it probably would have only been a day if I wasn't dealing with my husband's root beer collection. But figuring out how to secure those to the boards and then secure the boards to the cabinets took way longer than I expected. So this ended up being more like a 3-day affair, but it is done now. And here is where we started with those very, very dusty bottles. And you're welcome, by the way, for not singing a certain country song about dust on a bottle. But now it's stuck in your head, so sorry about that. Now let's fast forward a couple of days and ooh la la, look how shiny these bottles are now. And the thing is, I did all of this while my husband was out of town for a few days, so he can't even appreciate the amount of work I went through to take care of his root beer collection. But they're now all secure to these boards with some super sticky alien tape, and then I screwed the boards right into the cabinets. So if anything kills us in an earthquake, it will not be a flying root beer bottle. And here's just one more look from ground level at all of those beautiful and dust-free bottles. And even though you can't see the tops of those cabinets, doesn't it just feel cleaner in this kitchen? Time to get on top of the cabinets in the laundry room, because look how dusty they are. This is a completely different dust than the kitchen dust, because the kitchen dust is greasy because of all the grease that's floating around in there too. But laundry room dust is extra fluffy because it's got little bits of cloth fibers in there from all of the laundry and the lint that's floating around. So it's a very fluffy dust. It's also much, much easier to clean up. No scrubbing required. I'll finish wiping down these cabinet doors with a cloth, but I'm just getting them out of the way for now so that I can get all that dust underneath. And if you're wondering why I have cabinet doors stored up here, I took them off the fronts of these cabinets in my laundry room because I wanted to put laundry baskets in there like this, and I just found it a lot more convenient not to have those doors in the way. Isn't it crazy how much dust can build up on these slanted parts of those doors? And there's quite a bit more I could dust and vacuum here in the laundry room, like behind the washer and dryer. But while I have my ladders out, I'm trying to focus on more of the high places. So we're going to move on to my bedroom. Okay, we're in my room and I have covered my bed in plastic. I've already cleaned our ceiling fan and up there without filming it because I can't film everything. But anyway, that's how I'm protecting my bed from all the dust because there is a lot of it. Now I'm going to do that shelf. I'm about to make some of y'all feel a lot better about your dusting habits. Check that out. This is in my own bedroom, and I think it has been honestly over a year since I have dusted this shelf and everything on it. And that's mostly because this is a little bit higher up and not very easy to reach. The lower down stuff does get dusted a little more often, like once a month. But these higher places, it's easy to just say, okay, I'll just get that next month. No worries. And before you know it, a couple years has gone by. And I can feel some of you screaming at the screen saying, why don't you just use a Swiffer duster? And the short answer is because I'm cheap. I did buy a Swiffer duster once, and as soon as I used up all of the refills that it came with, I was like, I guess I'm done with that because I don't want to buy any of the refills. They're way too expensive. But I have changed my mind and I think they may actually be worth it. And when I really think about how often I would be using them, they're not that expensive, especially if you get the generic kind that fit onto the Swiffer handles. So I did go ahead and order some of those, and that should help me to stay on top of my dusting a little bit better. And yes, I know that fake plant there still looks dusty, but those are a pain to clean, so I am calling that good enough. These bear and moose figurine are also a little bit of a pain to clean, and I thought this vacuum brush was going to do the trick, but it was a very stuck on dust, so it really wasn't doing that great of a job. So after I finished vacuuming the shelf, here's what I decided to do with those figurines instead. My cute little bears and moose are getting a bath. I was going to put these in the dishwasher to wash them, but it was recommended that I don't because these little pieces on there, like their little ears, could break in the dishwasher, plus it's harsh chemicals. So anyway, I'm just washing them in my sink instead. I know this video is supposed to be about cleaning neglected areas, not necessarily neglected figurines, but it does make me curious. How do you all keep your trinkety figurine type Anyway, those little smaller things clean. I'm guessing if I even just Swiffered these a little more often, they wouldn't get this bad. But after a while, I feel like dusting doesn't even cut it anymore, and you have to wash them like this. But I don't know, does anybody have any other brilliant ideas or hacks to keep these clean without going through all this effort? On another note, these bear and moose figurines are ones my husband and I collected in our early years of marriage. We used to have a lot more decor like this, but most of it's gone now. I've thought about selling these too since they don't really match anything anymore, but I'm a little more sentimental about them. A couple of years ago, I decided to take them out of storage and put them on a high shelf in our room. And they don't match anything, but it makes me happy to look up there and see them. So I guess I'm saying if you have something similar, something that you love but you never see, find a way to display it. And if it's been tucked away for years and doesn't mean much anymore, maybe it's time to let it go. Okay, let's get back to some neglected areas, like behind the fridge. I honestly expected this to look a lot worse because I think it's been like 1.5 years since I've done this, but it may have been more recent than that because it usually does look a lot worse than this. Just a couple of notes if you are cleaning behind your fridge. Make sure that you clean off the fan that's on the back of the fridge really well because that tends to gather a lot of dust and your fridge won't work as well if that's just chock full of dust. But also when you push your fridge back in, don't push it all the way against the wall. Make sure that there's enough of a gap that there's circulation back there so that your fridge can work properly. Okay, it's time to try out the generic Swiffer dusters that I ordered off of Amazon. And I do have to say, this did make it so much easier to dust these things. I am not going to move all of this stuff. I feel like that is the beauty of the Swiffer duster, is you can just dust around things and not have to remove everything to dust it. I'm also going to flex right here a little bit and tell you that these shelves I'm dusting, yeah, I built those. They may not be the best craftsmanship, but I built them with my own 2 hands. In fact, I tore down the existing built-in shelves that were on this wall and redid this entire thing about 95% on my own. My husband did help a little bit, but I am the DIYer and I love this kind of stuff. I love it so much, in fact, that I did something kind of crazy last week and I applied for a job at a company that builds custom furniture. I know it's a long shot since the only experience I have is what I've taught myself, but I do have a strong work ethic and I'm willing to learn, so who knows what will happen. I just know I'd be mad at myself if I didn't apply for it, but I'm not holding my breath. Get all that. Okay, I changed my mind. I am holding my breath because of all the dust. Can you tell it's been a while since I've dusted these? Ooh. This is a dustaster. I probably should have gotten a new Swiffer thing, but oh well. I am going to be getting everything else dusted and vacuumed down there, so all right, but I am using the vacuum on this part. That's the other thing that I decided to purchase was a vacuum brush attachment set for my shop vacs, because the only vacuum brush attachments I had before this were for my Dyson, and it's kind of hard to use an upright vacuum to clean these high areas. So I particularly wanted to get some brush attachments for my smaller shop vac so that I could hold it and get these higher areas. Yeah, why did I wait so long to order this brush attachment set? This really was so much easier with these. And the set that I got had a piece that made it compatible with my larger shop vac hose. So that's what I'm going to use now to clean my blinds. And after using this on my blinds, I'm never going to clean these any other way because this was so much faster than anything else I have ever used. And sure, they may not be as clean as if I was cleaning every single slat individually with a rag, but I am leaning into this whole it's good enough thing because I've been way too much of a perfectionist for too long. So it's time I let go of some of those perfectionistic tendencies. I only wish I could do that for all of the perfectionistic tendencies I have, but at least in this arena, I am doing a lot better. Wasn't that so satisfying? It's like a giant eraser. In fact, it was so satisfying that we're going to watch it again from this angle, but a little more sped up. If this is giving you cleaning motivation, by the way, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want more cleaning motivation and real life transformations like this, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next video I put out. Also, thank you so much to anyone who hyped my last video. That seems to really help get it pushed out to more people. So I really appreciate when you do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And once again, here is the super speedy version of that set of blinds. And then I'll give you the before and after. So here we go from super dusty to relatively clean. It may not pass the mother-in-law inspection, but it's good enough for me. For the record though, I love my mother-in-law and I know she also hates dusting, so this probably would pass her inspection. All right, this next area I knew was going to be bad, but that means that it makes for some really satisfying footage. These right here are fingerprints from my boys. They love to jump up and grab this ledge and do pull-ups on it, so they've left a lot of fingerprints behind, and nothing attracts dust quite like the oils in your skin. Okay, I'm gonna move my ladder over to this other section and we're going to really speed up the rest of this vacuuming up here. This is what I do anytime I get a new cleaning tool or cleaning product, is I go a little crazy with it. So when I got these brush attachments for my shop vacs, I thought, what else can I clean with these? So our cow skull and our deer head got a much needed cleaning. And yes, I was very gentle with the brush on the deer head. I know you have to be so careful with those. And then I also took the opportunity to pull out my couch and clean up all of these dead bugs behind it. Why are corners full of dead bugs? Like, why don't they die in the middle of the floor? Why in a corner? Okay, we're moving back to my kitchen just for a minute to get one set of blinds cleaned. I cleaned the rest of the blinds in my kitchen a couple of months ago, but never got around to doing this set of blinds, so I'm going to do that now. So here's just one more satisfying erasure of all of that dust on these blinds. Oh, right, and the windowsill. There's always dead bugs in the windowsill. And finally, I'm going to end this video by vacuuming my living room because I know I've been stirring up a lot of dust and a lot of that has just landed on my floors. So I'm going to get this all vacuumed and make it feel actually clean. And by the way, if you also do a lot of dusting like I've just done, I would recommend changing your air filter because even if you're vacuuming it up, you've also stirred up a lot of dust, and changing that air filter is going to help a ton. I do have some after pictures to share with you of my completely clean bedroom at the end of this video, but really quickly I wanted to show you just how much dust I collected in all 3 of my vacuums during the course of these few days I was working on this project. So here's a look at all 3 vacuums that I emptied out, and all 3 of these were empty when I began. So here's what my Dyson picked up, and then my smaller shop vac. In my bigger shop vac, I actually started out with a brand new filter. So this is what it looked like when I started. And that filter has worked overtime. It feels so good to look at this and just know that that's just that much less dust and dirt that is in my home. If you're in the market for a shop vac or anything else that will make your cleaning easier, check out the video description below this video, and there is an Amazon link that will take you to a page with all of my favorite cleaning products. And as I said, I'm going to end this video with pictures of my very clean and dust-free bedroom. When I look at these pictures, I just feel like, oh, I can breathe again. So hopefully this video gave you the motivation to go tackle one of your neglected areas, even if it's just a small thing. And I hope you can breathe a little easier after that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And as always, thank you for your support, for all of your comments, your likes, your shares. You are fantastic. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.